Celebrating 30 years of phenomenal trend forecasting. Here's Gerald Celente with today's trends in the news.
Hi, this is Gerald Celente. It's Friday, November 15, 2019, and here are some of today's trends in the news. Over there in Asia, markets mixed. Over there in Europe, they're up. Here in the States, they're up. And gold's down a bit, oil's up a bit, Bitcoin's bloop a bit, down again. So what's going on? Dow jumps more than 200 points to 28,000. Post 4-week winning streak. Rally to record levels. And you know why? White House economic advisor Larry Kudlow said China and the United States were getting closer to reaching a trade deal. You know what that is.
Bullshit!
You got it. Has nothing to do with it. Has to do with the cheap money being injected into the system by the Federal Reserve to keep the gambler's addiction going. Hey, how about $120 billion a day into the repo markets so the gamblers could get that dough and play the markets? That's what this is. It ain't going to the banks. It's going to the investment firms. And that's what's propping this up, plus the lower interest rates. So, what else happened? Well, U.S. retail sales rebounded in October, and that helped the markets go up. But consumers cut back on big retail items, which could, they say, maybe be a bad sign for what's going to happen in the holiday season, because last year's wasn't so great. Auto sales went up 0.5%. But again, they were declined the month before 1.3%. And auto is very important to watch because there's a slump globally of auto sales. Sales of electronics and appliance stores fell 0.4%. Receipts at building materials stores dropped 0.5%. Clothing down 1%. Furniture down nearly 1%. And very important, Americans also cut back spending at restaurants and bars. So, that's a good indicator too, because they don't got the dough to go out and play. Gold slips as trade optimism derails safe haven demand. You know what that is?
Bullshit!
Gold is not moving because of safe haven demand. The money's going back into the markets because of all the cheap money that they're giving them to gamble, and they're no longer taking the safe haven direction as they were buying negative yield bonds and going back into gold. And again, you've heard me say it a couple of hundred times, if not more, that gold is very critical now near that $1,450 range. If it goes below $1,450 an ounce, the next down is $1,390 per ounce, and I believe that's the bottom. Is it going to spike toward the 2,000 that I had forecast it would? I believe so, but it may not happen this year because they're going to lower interest rates despite what the Fed futures are showing, that they're not going to lower interest rates in 2020. And I say by this time next year, we'll have negative and zero interest rates, and that cheap money will prop up gold again. Fed chief says little reason for rate cut. Yep, he said that rates will not change as long as incoming information about the economy remains broadly consistent with our outlook. Your outlook is crap. You guys call it wrong all the time. There's a global slowdown. The world is bigger than America, but everybody's forgetting that. Because when you look at the data, it's all there. Global powerhouses remain in rut. The Wall Street Journal. Growth in China, the world's second largest economy, slowed further in October, according to the government data released yesterday. And industrial output, household consumption, and fixed investments all disappointed for the month. In Japan, the next biggest economy. Remember, China's number 2, Japan's number 3. United States is number 1. Germany's number 4. The next biggest economy, growth in the 3 months through September slowed sharply to 0.2%. That's no growth at all. And Germany, Eurozone's largest economy, grew only slightly faster than Japan. According to the numbers, it grew the grand total of 0.1%. So just missed going into a recession. It would have been 2 quarters of negative growth. And what else do we have here? Across the Eurozone, figures released by the EU yesterday, growth expanded a grand total of 0.9%. Going back to China, remember what I told you, retail sales are up in the United States. Like 0 point something percent, 3%, 2%, nothing. So going back to the global slowdown, in China, Bloomberg said, quote, engines of China's economy are sputtering, with exports falling, factory output slowing, investment at record low, and consumption coming off the boil. The government shows that industrial output in October rose by 4.7%, down from 5.2% increase the month before. I mentioned retail sales in the United States, what up? 0.3%. They didn't have a very good month in China. They were only up 7.2%, down from 7.8% in September. And again, one number after another. But I want to make this point. China's economy has exploded. So you're going to see a slowdown there. It has to happen. It can't continue to grow like this. And they're in real trouble because they're over $40 trillion in debt. So it only could grow so fast. And another issue they have is inflation. You talk to Chinese people, it's really bad. So that's another reason why they can't lower their currency, the yuan, because the lower it goes, the higher inflation moves higher. They usually raise interest rates when inflation's going up fast. So China's in a catch-22. What else do we have over here? Venture sizzle is fizzling in China. Venture capital fundraising in the world's second largest economy is on pace to touch its lowest level since 2013. And when you talk about the numbers in China, most people know that they're fake, and now even China is admitting it. Beijing pushes for numbers credibility. They said local governments should start measuring economic data using the same methods as the National Statistics Bureau. That'll really give them a lot of credibility. And Mexico. That's it. They cut interest rates again because the economy is slowing down. Investors on edge over Latin America. All what's going on in Chile, Bolivia, Colombia, Venezuela, Ecuador. You're looking at the currencies going way down, hitting new lows. This is important because a lot of the debt is dollar-based. It's also very important because as these economies go lower, you're going to see more people exit stage north, heading to USA to get away from poverty, crime, and violence and corruption. It's only going to worsen. The Chilean peso is down against the dollar at a fresh low. Colombia peso down, approaching its own record low. One after another. Brazil's real is off 10% over the past 12 months. Let's not forget the Argentinian peso. Again, what's going on in the equity markets does not reflect the real world. And I'm talking about the equity markets, particularly in the United States. Seoul's fiscal stimulus not working well. Their finance minister said they're dumping in a load of dough. The monetary policy, they're running out. It's not working. And now they're all saying we should do more fiscal stimulus, build infrastructure, create jobs. It's not going to do it. So I'm still forecasting the greatest depression by 2021. And also in Latin America, Brazil deepens ties to China as Bolsonaro reverses course. As a fiery conservative candidate last year, President Bolsonaro warned that China was a rapturous predator out to exploit Brazil. And he pledged loyalty to a leader he called his American idol, Donald Trump. Less than a year later, into his presidency and unable to revive a flat economy, and jubilant Mr. Bolsonaro hosted China's President Xi in this capital for a 2-day summit. By the way, their economy is projected to grow only 1% this year. And China's now, they're doing some $100 billion. China, on the other hand, is already Brazil's largest trading partner, with commerce reaching $100 billion annually. And China likes a lot of what Brazil has. I'm mentioning this because he said one thing and did another thing, because he's a pathological liar, which most politicians are. They lie their way into office. And I know pathological liars. I've seen them in my life and have dealt with them. And they've dealt with me by lying to me. So a pathological liar, they look straight in your face and they keep making up excuses why they lie, and people believe them most of the time. The other important element of this is the business of China is business. And the business of Brazil is business. It all comes down to business at the end, whether it's stealing resources or doing dirty deals or straight deals, it's business. Kremlin aims to reduce dollar's share of wealth fund to protect against sanctions. This has been going on for a while, and it's only going to increase. The deputy finance minister said, "I can say for certain that the dollar's share will be lower. We are looking at different reserve currencies that meet IMF standards, including the yuan, the Chinese currency, and the euro." So, I'm mentioning this because other countries are also, China, Iran, and other nations want to get out of the dollar. If they get rid of the petrodollar, bye-bye dollar, and now the United States dollar will lose a lot of its value. This is the beginning of a trend. Watch where it's going. And on to some other news. About 1 million unauthorized migrants in UK study finds. I'm mentioning this because as the global depression worsens, as we're looking at all in your Trends Journal, the weekly Trends Journal, we're going over all what's going on around the world with the uprisings, the protests, the revolts, the emerging civil wars, the increasing poverty, and you're going to see a migrant and a homeless crisis way beyond what anyone can imagine. And the countries of the world are not preparing for it. What else do we have here? Mainland Chinese students flee Hong Kong. There's another example. This is Asia's financial hub, and it's going down, getting worse. I don't know why they're being so violent over there. I believed at first it was agents provocateurs, but now it looks like everybody's doing it. And China's going to clamp down on them at some point, and that really will make a big difference, because if China really comes down hard on these protesters, will Hong Kong remain the financial center of Asia? Very important to watch, because China can't afford losing that. Chile growth concerns mount after weeks of demonstrations, one after another. Trump demands 5-fold increase in payments from South Korea. Wants them to pay $4.7 billion annually to keep the troops there. Bring the troops home. We have no business being there. Bring all the troops home. That's a major platform of OccupyPeace.com, because we will not have peace on earth as long as the United States is invading, occupying, destroying, and killing people in foreign nations. So there's not enough money for me to keep the troops over there. I want the troops home to rebuild our rotted infrastructure and protect the homeland. UN inquiry on Syria hospital bombings might be undermined by Russia. An aerial bombing of a hospital in the rebel areas of Syria have long stood out as possible war crimes. I'm mentioning this because this is a big story in the toilet paper record. How about what the United States did in Raqqa, huh? How about what they did in Mosul? How about what they did in all of Iraq? Hey, how about those lovely Saudi slimers that are destroying Yemen? One hospital they make a big deal out of. But the United States and its allies slaughtering millions of people throughout the Middle East, Afghanistan, and other places on earth, that's okay. But the New York Slimers, including Whitney Hearst and Rick Gladstone of the New York Slime, would never write that. They would never write UN inquiry over America's murder around the world, destroying hospitals, turning entire countries into rubble like the Nobel Peace of Crap Prize winner Obama did to Libya, along with Hillary Clinton, Samantha Power, Susan Rice, Slimer Sarkozy from France, and no cojones Cameron from UK. No, they wouldn't. They talk about Russian propaganda. You got it right in front of your face. Oh, and by the way, if you're watching anything going on in the impeachments, you're wasting your time. Here, look at this cover of the toilet paper of record. This is what they're covering. You will learn nothing from these impeachments. You're missing the current events from the future trends that we are reporting in Trends in the News and in your weekly Trends Journal. Not only what's happening, what's going to happen, what it means, and what you can do to prepare for the future, as they keep wasting time about that. And what else do we have here? Onto the presidential reality show. And going on to the presidential reality show, ex-governor set to enter crowded race for president. Former Governor Deval Patrick of Massachusetts told senior Democrats Wednesday that he will enter the presidential race. Throwing his hat in the ring, right? What a waste of time. America will never, ever, ever, a racist nation like America will never elect a black president. Oh, I forgot. America's not a racist nation. Do you have racists in the country? Yeah. You got them in every country. And for every reason why they hate another tribe or anything else. America elected a black president, and boy, people bought into his BS. Hope and change you could believe in. As I said, the Nobel Peace of Crap Prize winner, this guy's doing it for the next round, so he gets his name out there and tries to keep running. And another one, proving he's fit for office. Big story here about Sanders must convince voters that his health and age aren't issues. What convince voters? You got to be a moron to think that health and age aren't an issue when the cat just had a heart attack, all right? But I think it's going to be Warren, and Warren won't win against Trump because she ain't going to get the votes in the swing states. And sadly, in California, yesterday, student kills 2 at California school. Again, gun control is not going to work. California has one of the strictest gun control laws in the nation. Sick people are going to get them. You have some 400 million guns. That's not going to solve the problem. And neither are taking these poor kids and putting them through these routines in case someone comes in and shoots the students. There's a sickness going on in society, and I believe it's from the fish rotting from the head down. If it's okay for Obama to say Assad has to go, and that's not my quote, it's his, and Clinton's and others, and Bush saying Hussein has to go, and Trump saying Maduro has to go, and Obama's saying Gaddafi has to go. What makes it any different for some sick person to say the students I hate, the people I hate have to go? The only way we're going to change, in my belief, is with peace and to occupy peace. Because with peace comes joy and beauty and liberty and love. With war and fear and terror, more of this. That's my belief, and you know the motto of the Trends Journal, think for yourself. Heads up, hitting the brakes on texting while walking. Big story here in the Toilet Paper Record. People are, by nature, information-seeking creatures. You know what that is.
Bullshit.
Yeah. Information. Everybody's so dumbed out. When we regularly check our phones, we are snacking on information from devices that offer an all-you-can-eat buffet of information. Could you believe the ignorant stupidity of a line like that? People are addicted to these things. And you know why they call them handhelds? Because everybody's masturbating in public. This clown writer over here, another New York Times prostitute, Brian X. Chen, writes this whole big story. We all do this kind of distracted walking. Twalking. Yes, that's the term. The behavior has spawned debates among lawmakers about whether walking and texting should be illegal. Last year, pedestrian deaths in the United States were at the highest point since 1990, with distracted drivers and bigger vehicles the chief culprits. Anyway, then they go on to say what you can do to stop this. I don't carry a cell phone. I'm cell phone free. Yeah. You're addicted to these things. It's as simple as that. Cut your addiction. And they're deadly when you read the research. So if you want to be addicted, just like smoking, this is the 21st century. This is smoking 2.0. My parents' generation, everybody smoked. You saw those great advertisements. Camels is smoked by more doctors than any other cigarette. This is the new addiction, and it's killing people and killing the planet. Because wait till 5G comes out. And then finally, how cities are taming cars. Another stupid article. Look at all the wasted space the toilet paper puts on. A stupid thing like this because they don't have reporters. All they are prostitutes. The reporters are gone in most of the newspapers. That's why you tune into the Trends Journal, because you're getting information you could use. The reason why cities are taming cars because of the congestion is because the auto industry has destroyed the earth. We should be having mass transportation and 21st century people movers. These automobiles are antiquated vehicles for movement. But no money goes into the United States for mass transportation. We need that money to fight ISIS. Yeah, and murder people around the world while we get murdered with all the pollution, and our lives are wasted with all the congestion. Wasting your time driving for hours a day. What a way to go. This is Gerald Celente, and that's some of today's Trends in the News.